Hi everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and the day of questioning has come round once again. It's Monday, it's question of the week time, and this week it's a pretty simple and straightforward question for you this time. In kind of our current comic book landscape, the way you find out things that are going on in the comic book world is pretty easy these days. Whether it's new titles coming up, titles that are being cancelled, creators leaving in a big huff, or new creative teams that spark interest. So my question is, like I said, really simple. Where do you get your primary set of news from? Whether it's a website or a forum, or do you just wait for someone within our comic book community to let you know what's going on? Let me know in the comments section down below, and that's as easy as that. So last week I got posed a lot of questions. Once again, thank you very much for everyone who participated, and I'm going to kick off this week with Joshua Hayes, the dilemma that strikes us all. Do you have a routine with comic book reading? And I do and I don't. It honestly depends on the week. It depends on the stack of comics I have in front of me. I know a lot of people go, well, I'm going to leave the best ones till last, or what I think are going to be the best ones, because I want to kind of finish my comic book reading on a high. Some people want to get rid of the not so good, the average ones out the way, or read their favourite ones straight away to get that hit. And like I said, it just depends on the week for me. This week just gone, Deadly Class and Stray Bullets came out, and they're two of my favourite comics at the moment. And I just had to read the next instalment of those stories first. It was impossible for me to just leave them till last. So it kind of depends. The only real kind of routine I have when I'm then reading them, and this is a bit sad, I don't know, but obviously in the back of my mind I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about this comic on Friday when I do my review video? Moving on to Larissa. Now, I don't know if this is just coincidence or she's been checking out my Twitter feed of late, but she asked, which is the best anime movie or TV series you have seen you would recommend to see? Now, I say, is this a coincidence? Because I am kind of going through my anime phase, which I kind of go through from time to time, though this time it's stuck with me for quite a while and looks like it's going to continue. I have at the moment 9 series that I'm watching at the moment, but of them my favourites so far are Tokyo Ghoul, which I've been told is, as an anime viewer, it's great. It's a really exciting and fun anime series, but if you've already read the manga that it's based on, it's a terrible adaptation. Fortunately, I haven't read the manga, so I'm still enjoying Tokyo Ghoul. I really like Sword Art Online, which is kind of a fantasy, almost kind of Dungeons and Dragons type story tale. There's Psycho Pass, which is kind of a future crime story where it's a bit like Minority Report in a way, where we have this kind of division of the police, I guess, where they stop people from committing crimes before they actually do. And finally, I've only really just kind of got into this, but it's called Fairy Tail. Season 2, I guess, or the next season has already come out, but I'm kind of late into this. It's another kind of fantasy, kind of Dungeons and Dragons-y type thing, but it has a huge following. Some of it's quite serious. There's a lot of fun and comedy in it as well, and I'm willing to give that a bit of a try. So there's a few recommendations. Now, Jess S asked, if you didn't make comic videos but had to keep making YouTube videos, what would your channel focus around? Would you ever consider doing vlogs about just your daily life? I'll answer the last part of that question first because that's quite easy. No, not at all. My life is nowhere near exciting that you would want to hear about it on a daily basis, believe me. As for the first part, again, it's kind of coincidental that you brought this up because I have for some time thought about making a second channel. I don't want to be too cryptic about it because it's not like there aren't hundreds of other channels like what I'm thinking of doing out there already. But I would really kind of like to do a channel focusing on TV, movies and anime and doing reviews of those. It's just finding the time, finding the motivation. I am by nature a little bit lazy and I really do need kind of a kick up the arse to get this going. I have kind of reams and reams of paper with ideas on how I would do it, how it would work, but as yet nothing is kind of been put to video yet. So yeah, I have some things in the near future for this channel, changing things up a little bit video wise on here, and in December there is definitely something going to be happening for the whole month, so keep that under your hat. I'm saying no more. Derek Lucarelli asked, if you can get to direct the next story arc for your favourite back title, which villain would you choose and what title would it appear in? I was looking at villains, Batman's kind of rogues gallery and some of the more obscure super villains, I guess, in Batman's history. And I actually found it kind of hard to pick one. I was looking like all the people that have been in the New 52 already, and I don't believe he has yet, this character I've picked, and it is Professor Hugo Strange. And it's just because I wanted to have a Batman story that was more psychological in essence, rather than the action, the kind of fights and, you know, fist punching and gadgetry that he gets out of all these tight squeezes. So yes, and I would obviously try and put that in Detective Comics Batman, because as it should be, that title should be more about kind of brain rather than brawn. Wednesday Serial asked, do you feel the art in Seconds worked to display the age of the characters in the books? Now, I know what you mean here, Matt, and it was really the same in Scott Pilgrim as well, where you kind of get these, I hope I said this word right, infantilized versions of kind of adults. They look a lot younger than they do, but again, I just think that's the style of the artists he uses, and just the kind of, he wants it to give this kind of youthful, hip, kind of trendy look to it, and I still think it works. While I'm reading the story, the way they look, given that the situations that they're in Seconds, the main character, the girl in it, is trying to make a new restaurant, get that on the go, and you would think, actually looking at the character, she probably looks about 14, and shouldn't even be thinking about even buying a restaurant, let alone trying to run one. But I do understand what you're getting at, but I just think that's the kind of style that he goes for in his books. Sean Mitchell, he continued on with last week's either or and gave me a couple more. He said George Perez or Alan Davis. I have to say George Perez. The last time I saw some Alan Davis artwork, I think it was in it was in an X title. I can't remember if it was just X-Men or if it was in Uncanny, and I just didn't like it at all. It felt very one-dimensional, very flat, and had no kind of pizzazz about it, no wow. Obviously George Perez's artwork is just fantastic. He's done some awesome stuff in his time. Teen Titans, the great run he did on that. He just has this kind of comic book flair that really appeals, and kind of you can get immersed into this ridiculous comic book universe. And then he asked Planetary or Astro City. I have to say Astro City because I haven't read Planetary as yet. I have a few of the issues that I've picked up here and there, but I don't want to read them until I have them all and read them all in order, and you know, so it makes sense. So at the moment, and it's not by default by any means, but Astro City is my choice. It's still a great comic. It has been a great comic in its other kind of ways it's been before, in like where else had it been? Oh, my memory just dissolved. Was it Image? Was Astro City at Image? I think it was, wasn't it? But yes. Tony Thompson 1981 asked, have you read any IDW books? Why do you think it is that other publishing companies don't follow their example and put all the ads in the back? Yes, I have read other IDW books. I collect the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Lock and Key in trade. Just lately I bought the Monster and Madman by Steve Niles, the kind of Jack the Ripper meets Frankenstein's monster crossover. As for the adverts in the back, it's a dangerous thing to do, I think, at times, because obviously people who are really into comics, that are not just kind of passers-by, so to speak, once your story is over, you're not, you know, when it comes to that last panel and it says to be continued or next time, whatever, that's it, your comic's done. Do you really want to see the adverts at the back? If you're not really kind of, I don't want to say passionate about comics, but if you're not thinking of picking up anything else, or you don't have that drive to see, oh well, what else does this publishing company have? So it's kind of, there's pros and cons to it. Obviously Marvel and DC do it all the time, and there are times when it's really very annoying, but they want to sell their other titles just as much as the one that you're holding, and they probably do realise that if I put them all in the back, they're not necessarily going to get looked at. But if you turn a page over expecting to see the next panels of storyline, but instead you get a picture of an advertisement for another of their books, you know, you're not just, you are going to see it, whether you take it in or not. Subliminally, you've already seen that image, and either you're going to stay and have a quick look at that and kind of take it in, or you may go back and go, well, I finished the story, but I saw something back there that I thought might be interesting. I'll go back to it now. So it's kind of a dodgy kind of advertising ploy to do. I don't know whether it works all the time. Finally, Mr. Gretzky 9966 asked me 2 questions. Again, keeping with the theme of last week of the either or situation, we're going to start with better sidekick, Speedy or Aqualad. Now, these are the worst 2 you could have picked for me, because I don't, no I haven't, I know this, I've never read a Flash comic or a kind of Aquaman comic that has had them in with these sidekicks, so I don't really know whether they're good or not. However, I do remember Speedy in the Teen Titan comics, liked it as a character, so I'm going to go with Speedy. He also asked, where would you rather live and why? Metropolis, Gotham or Central City? Now, as much as I'd love to say Gotham, how cool would it be to live in Gotham? What a dangerous place it would be to live. You only have to look at the back catalogue of Bat titles to realise, why does anybody want to live in Gotham? You can wrap it up in all your fancy language, Bruce Wayne, that, you know, you're all coming together, you're all Gothamites, you want this town to, this city to, you know, get better and become the shining jewel, but it's never going to happen. Just leave now. Central City, don't really know much about it apart from the fact that I know it's Flash's stomping ground. So I'm going to have to say, and it's probably the safest place, is Metropolis. Don't really see or hear Metropolis being kind of razed to the ground at all, or I don't know, it just seems a lot safer place to live than Gotham, as cool as it would be to live in Gotham. Getting a sight of maybe Batman flying over past the moonlight one evening. Yeah, Metropolis. And that's it for questions this week. Thank you all very much for sticking with me here. Until next week, if you want to ask me a question, pop it down in the comment section below and I'll answer it next week. And of course, answer my question that I post right at the top of the video. Until next week, take care. Bye bye.